Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a senior business scientist here at KUNGFU.AI, and today I'm going to be talking through data science and some of its related subsciences and how we think about them in our own practice doing AI, ML, data science, whatever you want to call it, type of work. So in the data sciences, you've probably heard of some of the subsciences. Product science, decision science, business science are becoming more common, and different places use these terms to mean different things, and that's totally fine. But what we're focusing on today is kind of our take on them and how we think about them and the significance in terms of the work that is done within them as it applies to potentially your business. So in product science, we have data-driven product development. As you might imagine, that focuses a lot on product analytics and experimentation to get a sense of how your products are doing, how customers are working with them and responding to them. In decision science, that's a little more focused on making decisions, which again, of course, you do in the product world, but you might be setting out to make a decision when you kind of define the scope of a project in this case. And so I'll be focusing on causal analysis a lot. Does A cause B? Experimentation, of course, is a big part of that. And also forecasting, trying to see what's going to be happening over the next few months and making a decision accordingly. And then finally, business science. Data-driven business insights is a big part of this, getting a sense of the health of your business, what your customers are like, revenue and price modeling, any kind of metrics or questions you have about your business's performance is going to be the focus of this. So you can probably imagine these three are not all mutually exclusive. The different skills and focus points of one can definitely spill over into the others, and I think that's what lends all of these things to being kind of interchangeable in some cases, or different places using different names for them. And again, that's totally fine, but we wanted to provide a little bit of a crisper focus just to give you a sense of how we think about them, in case that's helpful for you to really kind of sharpen your focus on the questions you want to try to answer with some of these skills. At the end of the day, it's all about using scientific methods for continuous experimentation and insights to optimize whatever you're focused on. The skill sets that relate to these are what I'm going to show on this slide, and you may have seen that kind of three-part Venn diagram about data science where you have coding and statistics and subject matter expertise, and then in the middle you have data science, and that's how I first learned about data science. It's definitely very useful, but I want to focus here on some of the related skills that go into data science that are a little bit more fine-tuned. So the first thing I want to cover is product sense. Understanding the connection between the products of the company's end users, and of course the data that kind of captures that relationship and how you can leverage that. Scoping and sequencing, analyses and product changes, starting with a question to answer, thinking about the best way to answer it, the metrics to measure it, making a game plan for all of that, identifying the right tool to use as well, whether it's machine learning, experimentation, risk modeling, that type of thing. Closely related to that, of course, is technical. Once you have these ideas for product sense, the execution piece relies a lot on technical ability. So stats, data set preparation is really, really important. Making sure, for example, that there are no problematic nulls in the data set, or looking for multicollinearity. If you're thinking about regression, for example, it's that old garbage in, garbage out saying, if the data that you put into your project is not high quality, then the results and the conclusions that you make are not going to be super reliable. Communication, data visualization, and storytelling are a big, big part of that. Communication is so essential because it is really focusing on telling the story of your work as a data or product or what have you scientist. If your end users don't understand what the takeaway is or don't understand the big picture of the story, it's really, really hard for them to take the appropriate actions and benefit from the insights that you're making as the scientist here. So collaboration with those stakeholders is key. Telling data's story is essential. That's what data science is really very, very heavily focused on. Just making sure that you have that beginning to end, here's where the data was, here's what I did with it, walking them through your process, and also telling the story of the customer or the user or whatever kind of focus point of metric you might have. And that all feeds into data science. Next, I'll talk about business outcomes and capabilities. These are ones that we focus on, especially at KUNGFU, in terms of the work that we're doing with business science or data science. So on the left side here, I have a sample business question. Again, any good data science project we'll start with a question to answer, and then you keep your work focused on the scope of that question and driving forward that way. And then on the right side, I have relevant capabilities that would be helpful in answering that question. So I won't read through every one, but just some examples. If you want to have a project that focuses on which customers will retain after the free trial, if you have like a freemium situation or you offer a free trial to start, then you're going to want to have predictive analytics. You'll be relying a lot on customer segmentation and user insights, churn analysis and retention modeling to see what types of users are retaining and how long, that type of thing. Another example you might want to know are, what do consumers say about my product? So focusing on those online reviews, we can do sentiment analysis with natural language processing there, focusing on your reputation, which is based on a lot of reviews or what people are saying on social media, satisfaction, your CSAT surveys. And then you also may be wondering, how secure is my product or service? So fraud detection and risk management is a big part of that, which we also do. And then, of course, focusing on risk modeling, credit scoring. An example might be using a machine learning model to kind of predict initially, what types of incoming activity would be a fraud risk, and then making actions or models based off of that. And then the last thing I'll focus on is kind of the overall data intelligence path. You always want to start out by describing the current situation, so descriptive statistics. Examples of these would be the monthly mean open rate on sales emails, or your number of monthly active users, MAU. The next step is to try to use those descriptive statistics to predict what will happen. That's predictive modeling, machine learning. So the next steps here in our kind of example cases would be predicting open rates on a given sales email, or predicting next month's MAU based on what you have currently in your data. And then finally, you want to recommend the next action. And going back to our examples, that could be recommending edits to improve an open rate on a given sales email, for example, based on what you have seen in past performance and how well the predictive pieces of your previous work are doing. Or suggest actions to users to drive MAU. So if you're looking to increase your monthly active users, you could look at certain actions that certain users are taking and succeeding or showing what they're liking, and then recommending those actions as kind of a call to action for less active users to drive up that number. So that's my overall spiel on data science and some of its sub-sciences. We do a lot of this work and we love it here at KUNGFU.AI. So don't hesitate to reach out if we can help. Thanks.